Here we come with that heat. We got Skip on the.
What's going on in Denver, Jacob? I don't understand.
No one knows, man.
It's somehow not the most shocking news in the NBA this season.
I despised him about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But now he's one of my favorite players, one of my favorite volunteers.
Yeah, I mean,
can't be upset about it.
Vol for life, right? You got that Salt Bay, like, boom, give me that player. I want that guy. Boom, bring him over.
We'll see y'all next March.
What is this, 26, 27?
I think 27, Scholar.
Oh, okay. Well, there it is.
Let's get it.
Welcome in. Episode 27, $1 Million Radio. We got Skylar.
Yup.
We got Jacob. And we got a new mic. We got a new mic, Jacob. I'm kind of liking it. I can't lie.
Good. You better. How much did you have to pay for that?
I will not say that on the podcast because I don't want everybody knowing that I just spent $700 on any type of equipment. But yeah, it was a nice little chunk of change for sure. So we're going to have to get some sponsors in here. We're going to have to work some deals out where we can start, capitalizing on this instead of going in the hole. But no. Welcome in, Jacob. Episode 27. We got a lot going on right now. Last night we just saw probably, this would be up there in some of the greatest, championship games in the NCAA that we've seen. But I wouldn't put it up there, with the Villanova buzzer beater, some of these other games. But a great game last night as Florida defeated Houston 65-63. Houston just, up by 3 at the half, led by as much as 12 in the second half, and then just fell apart in the last few minutes.
Yep. And honestly, with it being all chalk, a lot of people were disappointed there wasn't a good Cinderella this year. But honestly, it led to a really entertaining Final Four. And honestly, you could argue it is more rare for all one seeds to make it. So,
yeah,
something special happened this year.
First time since 2008. So Florida defeated Auburn in that Final Four matchup, and Houston defeated Duke in a stunner of a game. Duke was up by 6 with 33 seconds to go. Houston forces 1 or 2 turnovers, got a lucky call against Cooper Flagg, I would say, and was able to win that game somehow. But basically what Houston did against Duke is what Florida did to Houston last night, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I do agree. And honestly, even though the lead was a little bigger that Duke had on Houston in the Final Four, I would argue that since it's on the bigger stage and it was honestly just a 2-point difference, Houston was up 12, Duke was up 14, I would say that the Houston had a bigger choke job rather than Duke.
But yeah, last night Houston had a problem, especially in those last, 2.5 minutes. They did not score a field goal. Their last field goal was 2 minutes, 29 seconds left in the game. And Florida only led for 1 minute and 4 seconds. And 17 of those seconds, they'd only led for 17 seconds up until like the last, 60 seconds of the game or so, where they were able to come back. But yeah, LJ Cryer led the way for Houston at 19 points. He was the only Cougar with double digits last night in the championship game. Will Richard with 18 points. Alex Condon, 12 points. Walter Clayton Jr. finished with 11, but he had 0 points in the first 25 minutes of the game. So Houston did a lot of good things last night. They were, suffocating defensively like we've seen them all season. Especially in that Tennessee game, we saw it firsthand. And, Walter Clayton Jr. was part of that. He was definitely part of the game plan. But he was able to knock down a couple clutch shots, some nice free throws there at the end. And Florida, it's the tale of the season, or tale of the tournament for Florida. You struggle against UConn, find a way to win, beat Maryland, and then struggle against Texas Tech, find a way to come back and win that game. Struggle against Auburn. They were down against Auburn for, a lot of that
9
game.
going in the halftime.
Yeah. And there were times late in the second half where Auburn had like a 5 or 6 point lead, and they were just able to keep clawing and keep, putting themselves back into the game and finding a way to win. And they did it again last night. So I hate
every win was earned in this tournament.
I hate the Gators, but I will give them their props for this. It was a very, very impressive tournament run for the Gators.
Absolutely. I do agree. Every game they were tested to the fullest extent. I mean, except maybe the first round, you could argue. But the second round, UConn was leading for most of the way until about 4 or 5 minutes left. Literally every game came down to the last 5 minutes. A lot of these games, if a game was 35 minutes long, Florida ain't winning. But that's just not how it works. It's a full 40-minute game, 2 20-minute halves. Quick math right there.
Yeah.
And basically, if you're not playing all of it at the highest level like Florida was, you're not going to win. And Florida was playing at the highest level. They utilized all their talent. Walter Clayton, one of the coldest college players in the past half decade, I'd say.
Yeah.
That man is not afraid of the moment. I'd be interested to see how he does in the league, but for now, as a collegiate champion, man, you couldn't ask for a more clutch player.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And, for Houston and Florida both now, next season starts today. But for teams like Tennessee or, the 300 other schools that didn't make the national championship game, the season has started, within the last few weeks. And for Tennessee, we're already off and running. We're cooking in the portal. Rick Barnes, he got that Salt Bay, boom, give me that player, bring him over. I want that guy, boom, bring him over. We got a couple big guys coming our way, Jacob.
Yeah. There was one that was Carey from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Jalen Carey.
Absolutely I despised him about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
but now he's one of my favorite players, one of my favorite volunteers.
Yeah, I
can't be upset about it.
Vol for life, right?
Yep, absolutely, dude. Didn't he low key cook us? When they beat us at Vanderbilt.
So Jalen Carey is 6'8" forward from Vanderbilt. 8 points was his average for the season. 5.7 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 48.8% field goal percentage, around 20% from the three. But in his 2 games against Tennessee, he averaged 8 points all season. In his 2 games against the Vols, he scored a total of 32 points. So yeah, he was cooking us for sure.
And honestly, this is going to help Tennessee with the next season picking up these big guys, because what propelled Florida to their national championship run and basically a lot of these other Final Four teams was their depth. And that's something Tennessee struggled with, because we were getting later into the season with, playing 7 to 8 guys a game. And even like the 8th guy, Darlin Stone Dubar, was only contributing, 2 points a game basically. So, weren't getting huge contributions from everyone, but got enough to get to the Elite Eight. But this is really going to add on and going to help with that depth and the tallness. Like I said, basketball is getting taller and quicker and stronger, and Carey is a very physical guy.
Yeah.
He's a very physical player. It showed versus us and the other games they've played, like versus Missouri in the year and all that stuff. So I think it's a really good pickup.
Yeah, you put him down low with Felix Akpara, who is our only returning starter going into next year. That should be a physical bunch down low. We also have signed already Jacoby Gillespie, a 6'1" guard from Maryland who fell to Florida in the Sweet 16 round. He had 17 points in 31 minutes against the national champion Florida Gators. He averaged 14.7 points, 2.8 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and shot the ball 45.3% from the field and 40% on the season from the 3-point line, Jacob. We need some shooters.
Very impressive.
We need some shooters.
We do. That's been the tale of our offensive success the past 2 seasons, you've had Dalton Connect and then, of course, Chaz Lanier. Jacoby's actually a hometown guy. He's from Greenville, so he's actually returning back to East Tennessee, which is really cool. Seemed like he really wanted to come here, so I'm glad we were able to get that transfer. But we really do need shooters. I don't think adding just him will be enough, and that's nothing against him, but it takes a whole team. So I think Rick Barnes is definitely going to have to target one more big guy and at least 2 more shooters for us to make another deep run. I mean, of course, you have to be defensive oriented as well. That's kind of how Rick Barnes has built this whole basketball program, but that should be a given. I think if you target 3-and-D guys specifically, you're going to have a lot of success. It's almost like an NBA style, analytical. So, I do think that's the next.
So, Jacoby hasn't taken the court for the Vols yet, but he is already working for Tennessee. He's trying to get his teammate Rodney Rice over from Maryland, who was Jacoby was a point guard, Rodney Rice the shooting guard, a 6'4" sophomore guard from Maryland, 13.8 points, 2.2 rebounds, 43% from the field, another 37.4% from deep, which is a pretty good percentage to shoot from 3. So Rodney Rice, they're targeting him. They haven't signed him yet, but on threes, Pete Nakos predicts Tennessee will land Rodney Rice over Michigan and Kentucky, who he's also in talks with. So that would be another great addition if we could get him. But losing 4 or 5 starters, 5 or 6 of the key players with Jordan Gainey coming off the bench this past season. We got a lot to replace. But we're off to a great start.
But the only thing I worry about, and it's nothing, anything specific like Rick Barnes or Tennessee or anything, but guess who averaged 40% from 3-point a season ago? That played for Tennessee, but he transferred from Hofstra.
3-point. You gotta tell me.
Darlin Stone Dubar was a 40% 3-point shooter before he came here. That's why I was pumped up on him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have 37 and a 40% guy coming in. I'm hoping that stays how it is because we saw Dubar come in and he wasn't great. He hit some good shots, but he shot 25%.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I hope it translates.
I do too, but only time will tell. So, I
know Hofstra and Maryland are on different tiers and then Tennessee's up here, but still, you just hope that game is applicable to SEC.
Yeah. So, got a long way to go. It's going to be a long off season for Tennessee basketball. Off to a good start, we could say for sure. It's nice to know there have been no announcements or surprises from Rick Barnes. After the season ended, there were talks where he may be heading into retirement sometime soon, but Coach Barnes also came out and said, he's married to the game. He ain't going anywhere. He loves.
That's cold.
Yeah, he loves his job. He loves coaching these guys, and losing a guy like Zakai Ziegler, who he grew so fond of over the last 4 or 5 years. You lose a guy like that. I don't want to say you lose the locker room at all because the culture is there for Tennessee basketball. It's been implemented since before the Grant Williams days with Rick Barnes. But losing a guy like that's a big piece in that locker room for sure. But Coach Barnes still here, still working
because Ziegler was like an extension.
Yeah, he was a coach on the
Barnes
floor,
on the court
for sure.
Exactly, and so you're losing a bit of that intelligence. I mean, Gillespie probably is a really good IQ player as well, but I'm just saying, Rick Barnes and Zakai were on the same wavelength. It seemed like so.
Yeah,
you hope that it continues with another player, and hopefully it continues with the guys that have been here, but also are transferring over. It seems like everyone's invested. If we get full investment from everyone, we'll be as good as we were this year, if not better.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So we did have 2 champions that were crowned this weekend. Jacob, did you see the first one on Sunday? UConn, South Carolina.
Yeah, man. Yeah, UConn blew South Carolina out. Man, it's good that Paige Bueckers has her championship now that she can go to the WNBA.
Yeah. So this was Paige Bueckers last year, 17 points in that championship game against South Carolina, who has dominated women's college basketball over the last 4 or 5 years. South Carolina has just been, Dawn Staley has led that team into basically an empire in the women's game. But they fell by 23 points, 82-59 to UConn on Sunday. That makes 12 championships for Geno Auriemma. Jacob, how do you feel about that?
Feels good. I mean, I'm a Pat Summitt person, of course, but ever since that clip of him talking about DeMarcus Cousins, he'd put all of his money on DeMarcus Cousins to beat Brittany Griner in a 1v1. he'd sell his house, and he was like, if there's no referee, I'm putting all my money that I make from that on DeMarcus Cousins. I've gained a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, no.
Because he's not delusional.
but yeah. It's
good for him. If Pat Summitt was still here, I bet it would be neck and neck.
Yeah. We miss you, Pat, for sure. Geno Auriemma, though, most championships all time in men's and women's with 12. But UConn, I don't think they're going anywhere. They're losing Paige Bueckers, but I don't think they're going to have a fall off because they got a true freshman out there on the court, Sarah Strong, forward, 24 points Sunday, 15 rebounds, 5 assists in 37 minutes. They're in good hands.
Each player is just a chapter.
Yeah.
You know, the book is going to tell the whole story, but each player always contributes to winning. It seems like whenever they pick someone up at UConn.
Yeah, they're different eras for sure, but Geno's been doing it for years.
But you know what? Who has just been recently getting on is Kim Caldwell.
Yeah. No, I like where we're at for sure.
Me too.
Just to see and she came out and said this in an interview after being asked this question where, how do you feel being able to win some of these games with, it was said a little differently, but the question basically said, without your players, meaning players that you haven't recruited, just kind of took over this team working with what you got. And she kind of took, a little offense to that and was like, these are all my players. This is our team, and definitely gained some points for me in her saying that. But just to see where she took this team from the beginning of the year all the way to the Sweet 16, lost to Texas, who was the number 1 seed by 4 points, I think it was, or 6 at the end.
And that was the one game she missed because of her pregnancy.
Yeah. So
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, earlier in the year, back in January. But yeah, I like where we're at, and guess UConn's the reigning national champion in the women's game. But guess who was the last team to beat them, Jacob?
Tennessee Vols, damn it.
The Lady Vols and Kim Caldwell. But another coach for the Vols who's going to have a lot of work to do this offseason, losing some of their players that they did. But, shout out to UConn, shout out to Florida. Great seasons for both of them, and, the deserving champions for sure, I'd say. Yeah,
and hey, the Tennessee teams each beat the national champions once. It's basketball,
true.
Man.
Very true. So does that put us in the third rank? We didn't make it to the Natty, but we beat both of the national champions?
No, because there's a website you can put each team in, and I'm sure there's a way that Carson Newman's better than Florida.
Yeah. No,
it's a cool website.
Yeah, you showed it to me one time. But Jacob, we've been so focused on college football, and then kind of worked our way into college basketball over the season, I guess you could say, $1 million radio. But we blinked, and now we're at the end of the NBA regular season already. And we have this week's slate of games that'll go through all the way till Sunday evening. And then the play-in tournament will be set, and it will be starting on next Tuesday night. So next week's episode, we'll be talking NBA playoff basketball.
One thing before we, get, too far from that, I think for the play-in tournament, there needs to be like a qualifier. Don't you agree?
In what way?
Because right now, you got, I don't know if it's right now or if it has been before, but you have the number 8 Grizzlies, they're at 46 wins. Also, the Timberwolves are at 46. Also, the Warriors. Also, the Clippers are at 46 wins. If any one of those teams loses, they have to play the number 9 team, which is the Kings, and there is a 7-game difference between those. So I think that's kind of an issue. I think there needs to be like a qualifier if you're within a certain amount of games, right?
Okay.
Because if one team's like 10 games behind, I mean, how is that fair to have to play? I don't know. That's just me.
They've also talked about taking doing something kind of like where they seed them differently, where it's 1 through 16 going into the NBA playoffs instead of like 1 through 8 in the West, 1 through 8 in the East. It'll be all combined. There have been talks about doing different things like that for the NBA playoffs. There's also been a lot of talks about NFL offseason rules, which, you know, we'll get to another time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, which way they try to go with that. But, you know, it is what it is right now. There's nothing they can do about it.
Right now, I mean, you got the Thunder and then the Rockets and then Lakers coming at third. They're at 48 wins. And then the Nuggets, who just today, Monday the 8th, or Tuesday the 8th,
breaking news,
they fired Mike Malone, which is insane. I don't understand it.
So
there has to be something more.
The Nuggets, as Jacob just said, fired their head coach, Michael Malone, today, 10 days before the NBA playoffs start. Mike Malone has led the Nuggets to a 4 seed spot in the playoffs, as you know the standings are right now. And they won the championship 2 years ago. They're in the 4th seed going into the playoffs in 10 days. And the Nuggets decide to fire Mike Malone, the head coach, who's led his team, you know, I don't know how many years now. But also
about a decade.
Yeah, also their general manager, Calvin Booth, got the boot. So what's going on in Denver, Jacob? I don't understand.
No one knows, man. It's more to come out. It's almost like a Taylor Jenkins situation, but with Memphis and Taylor Jenkins, you could see that coming because they fired all of his assistants prior to the season starting. Mike Malone, they acquired Russell Westbrook. They've played their season. They're the 4th seed. They've lost 4 in a row just now, and he's fired. I mean, I don't get it. Any team with Jokic is going to be fine, but with him getting fired, I mean, I don't know. That's not the craziest thing that's happened this year, which is insane.
Yeah,
you know, this has probably been the craziest NBA season, not maybe in terms of play, but of just events that have happened throughout the season, and like firing coaches, trading players. It's just been a crazy season.
Yeah, and I saw a tweet that I was telling you about earlier where it said the Nuggets firing Mike Malone 10 days before the playoffs start after winning the championship 2 years ago is somehow not the most shocking news in the NBA this season. After, you know, the trade with Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis that happened in like a thief in the night. But
like, I remember where I was.
Yeah.
It was midnight here in, you know, Tennessee. It was midnight when that news broke.
You called me at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and I was, you know, somehow still awake. But I answered it, and we talked about it for like 20 minutes. It was wild. I couldn't go to sleep whenever I saw that news. I think that's what happened. But yeah, things are heating up in the NBA, Jake. We're almost there to the playoffs to have the bracket set, and I'm guessing we will have the 1 through 6 seeds locked in, and then we'll know what happens with the play-in tournament by next week.
But right now, man, like I said, the 8 through 5 seeds in the West, you know, it's the hardest conference. They're all tied at 46 wins. It would be a tiebreaker, any, you know, whoever takes a series to be over that. But then the Nuggets are at 47 games, and the Lakers are at 48. If the Lakers drop 2 in a row, and then any of those teams win, Lakers could drop like, you know, three spots.
Yeah.
So, and all of a sudden you're out of home court. So it's wide open, man.
Yeah.
It really is. It's going to be a good playoff. And with Luka, you have Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves coming up. If I'm a team in the West, I don't want to face them. And let's congratulate the Pistons for making the playoffs
Absolutely, man. That's a nice story to tell.
Yeah, it really is. I'm really proud. And everyone should be rooting for the Pistons.
But if you look at the standings, we'll just take the Western Conference right now because these games are looking pretty interesting. You'd have, if you just look at 1 through 8 right now, the Thunder would take on the Grizzlies in round 1. The Rockets would play the Timberwolves. The Lakers would play the Warriors, LeBron versus Steph. And then the Nuggets, who just fired their head coach, would be playing the LA Clippers. I think obviously the biggest storyline would be one, would the Thunder, Grizzlies have a chance to knock off the Thunder, or T-Wolves with the Rockets. But the main story that you're going to see on First Take and all at ESPN will be LeBron versus Steph in round 1. But as you said, 5 through 8 in the Western Conference are all tied. So, 1 or 2 games here this week through the final stretch of the season may shake that up quite a bit. But right now, it's LeBron and Steph, Jacob. That would be crazy to see.
It is. But especially with the Nuggets, with Mike Malone being let go, what does that mean for their postseason success? Are they afraid of a first round exit? I don't know. I don't know what the objective was to let go of the coaches right then and there, because the Memphis Grizzlies obviously did that as well, and then earlier in the year, the Kings did that to. Damn it! I almost said Michael Scott. That's so disrespectful, man.
Who was their coach? Give it a goog.
Hold on. Mike Brown. I almost said Michael Scott. There's too many Michaels. Mike Brown's a great coach.
Yeah.
I just had he was the coach of the year actually in 2022, 2023. And then he gets fired. There's no respect for coaches anymore. They're always the scapegoats.
Yeah, I don't.
They're always the ones that get blamed for any downfall is the coach's fault. Any success is the players.
Yeah, but I mean, if the best job to have that you could ever find would be a fired head coach, no matter if it's NFL, college, NBA, because they get paid so much money if they get fired before finishing their contract.
Monty Williams is set to make like $70 million from his Detroit Pistons contract, and he only coached 1 out of like 5 or 6 years. So that was easy money.
Yeah.
Like if you're a coach and you just want to get out, just be really bad in the first year, and then you'll get fired and get paid and never have to work again.
Yeah, but so now that we're here at the final stretch in the regular season, who, just spitballing off top of your head, who do you have making the finals and winning it?
Okay, well, I think the Cavs and the Celtics will meet for the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay.
Pretty safe bet.
For the Western Conference, I think playoff Luka and playoff LeBron are about to be activated.
Ooh, I like that.
I would love to see that happen. Honestly, dude, I think the Thunder could make it. I think they probably will. So I'm just going to go ahead and say Thunder because why not?
Yeah.
My preference for the finals, this is what I would hope would happen. Not saying it will. Of Cavs versus Lakers, with Cavs getting home court and LeBron having to go back to Cleveland.
That would probably be maybe the biggest storyline, if that were to happen between all the other matchups you could say. But but
we all know it's going to be Celtics versus the Thunder. I mean,
yeah. Well,
realistically,
I was just about to say, especially with how the Lakers handled the Thunder by 20 points on Sunday, they will face each other again. I think it's tonight actually. But my fantasy finals would be the Lakers versus Celtics. That's just something from my childhood I'd love to see again. It hadn't happened since 2009.
What would a fifth ring, 2010, what would a fifth ring do for LeBron's legacy? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know that it would do much, honestly, just thinking about it, because the main argument against LeBron is that he's already lost so many finals and Jordan has 6. So it put him one step closer to that Jordan 6 mark. But
what's crazy is if he, like you said, it wouldn't do much if he won one, but if he made it and then lost to a better team, it would damage it.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
I think, nothing's, if you already have a set opinion on the LeBron versus Jordan debate, then nothing's going to change your opinion already.
Of course.
I
just like good basketball. I like both.
Oh, yeah. Me too. We saw some good basketball
I think
over the last month.
We have. And I think ideally it'll probably be Thunder versus the Celtics. I mean, Celtics have such a deep bench. They're so top from bottom. They're so stacked. And Thunder, dude, the Thunder, I don't think that them getting blown out by Lakers was an accurate representation of their team because, Chet Holmgren's been out for a significant time this year, and he's barely played alongside Isaiah Hartenstein. So I think they're trying to work that out and give them some time together right before the playoffs start so that they can play that lineup together.
Yeah, because
they don't have that much chemistry, but. Everywhere Isaiah Hartenstein goes, he's a winner. Chet Holmgren, one of the best 7-footers in the league, but also he's a sophomore in the NBA, so he's really good already. And then you got SGA, of course. I don't know. I think the Thunder is a really, really good favorite to come out the West. I want Cavs versus Lakers. I don't think that would probably happen though.
Yeah, that would feed families though. That would be crazy.
It would.
Well, Jacob, as we wrap up episode 27 of $1 Million Radio, you know what question's coming.
Okay, but first, are we not going to congratulate the winner of the bracket challenge?
Oh, dude. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, let me pull up the official score because we have somebody very close to the podcast that won our
Put the belt
bracket challenge. She just has some very, very elite ball knowledge.
She brought out the belt for this one.
Yeah.
Like never before anyone has ever seen any bracket challenge before. We had to include the big guns in this one, and that's her. She is, like Scholar said, elite with ball knowledge. She watches all the time, more than me, and she did the best out of everyone. Who is it?
Mackenzie won our bracket first place with 148 points. Peyton Aiken came in second, 141. Jonathan Yazel with 137 came in third. And then 4 through, I'll just give the top 10, why not? SEC Goats, Big Stew, C-Speed, Milkman at number 7. I came in 8th place. Tehran in 9th, and Brett, who led most of the tournament, came in 10th. And down towards the bottom, we got Jacob at 19 and Griffin at 14. So just want to say thanks again for everybody that joined our bracket challenge.
Yep.
The $60 winner will be Jacob's girlfriend, Mackenzie. And because of...
She's elite, bro.
Yeah, I think we may have to... do some investigating on, maybe some foul play here. Maybe she...
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, conflict of interest, what I was looking for. Maybe she doesn't, get this money. But maybe I just make you pay her all 60. How about that?
What the hell, man? So you tell me if your girl won, then there'd be no conflict, right?
Yeah, no, that'd be fine. She's all the way in Florida. How would she know what's going on?
Dude, come on.
No,
I just cannot believe she won. I'm really proud. I'm really Mackenzie, proud of her. She's
congratulations.
Awesome. She's awesome, but honestly, this was the year to do it. I mean, it was all chalk, all one seeds.
This team is better.
I'm sure there was a lot of cases of people not knowing. But I'm not saying she doesn't know, but she said she didn't watch before. She wasn't as invested until this year. So,
yeah, well,
congrats, Kenzie.
Good job. That is how we wrap up the first $1 Million Minds bracket challenge. Congratulations, Mackenzie. So, Jacob,
we'll see y'all next March.
Yeah, bring it on. We got a lot of things that are going on before then. So, I cannot wait to get back to football season.
Same here.
Jacob, to close us out here, episode 27, your $1 Million Radio song pick of the week.
Dude, I've actually discovered like 50 new songs in the past week.
I just went to my release radar, and there were like 5 bands that released a song, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, there's a band called Novelists. They're really good. I think they're from France, if I'm not mistaken. But they have a bunch of really good songs. They're a pretty heavy band. They have a song called "Morning the Dawn."
Okay,
it is a really good song. I think you'll like it.
"Morning the Dawn" by who?
Very melodic, very groovy. It's in all caps. It's called Novelists.
Okay, I'll give that a listen for sure.
Very good.
I don't think I've done this song before. A band called Boston Manor. The song is called Foxglove. It's something that first time I listened to, I was like, I'm not really feeling this song. And then the more I listen to it, the more I like it. So it's
dude, one of the 50 songs I discovered that just played randomly on my Spotify on Friday was by Boston Manor.
Yeah, no, they're a pretty good band.
It was I Don't Like People and They Don't Like Me.
Nice. I have to give that one a listen. I don't think I've heard it. But so yeah, Foxglove, Boston Manor, Novelist, Morning the Dawn. Any last words, Jacob?
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to get into the NBA in the next coming weeks. And once it hits the off season, man, we'll get some guests on here. We'll have some fun with it until college football, until Josh Heupel and the crew come back.
Yeah.
if any athletes are trying to get on,
that would be
feel
cool.
free to message us.
That would be cool. We're going to try to get some moves moving this summer. Until then, we got the NBA to talk about. So thanks for watching, everybody. This has been episode 27, $1 Million Radio. And as always, we'll see you next time.